Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's AbyssSays here, and in this video I'm going to talk about the 5.5 Spiral Abyss, and I'll discuss about the mechanics of the enemies and how you can tackle them and what are teams that are suitable for this abyss. So the buff for this abyss is that when you trigger cryo related reaction, you generate a shockwave, which is like really good for cryo characters, and then on the top half, dual elemental skill damage will be increased, which is like Navia or Chiori. And then on the second half, the cryo damage of the character's elemental skill will be increased by 75%, which I don't think that benefits any of the characters that we have at the moment. I think it's like more for Escoffer, but I think this abyss ends before Escoffer can be like released, so I have no idea what the developers are thinking about, but it is what it is. Characters that use their elemental skill, for now I could think about Ayaka, like other characters, not really. And on the first chamber, top half, we have this Hydro Tuber. The Hydro Tuber has 10% physical and all elemental resistance except for Hydro, which it's immune to it. And it has a mechanic that spawns the half tubers. I'm just gonna call them the little droplets. It will spawn the little droplets around it periodically. And after some time, after some attacks, it tries to absorb the little droplets. And when it successfully absorbs the droplet, it will gain 45% increased resistance. So it's like 55% all elemental resistance, and Hydro is still immune, and its attack will become enhanced. So yeah, it's the best that you can kill the half tubers, the little droplets, like before it's gonna absorb it. And when you are killing the droplets that it's absorbing, when the Hydro Tuber is like in the process of absorbing it, it will stagger a little bit, but that's not the thing that you want to go for, because that 1 second stagger wasn't like beneficial. And if you fail to like kill the tuber in time, because when it's absorbing, it like sucks the character like close to the tuber, so you can like move like really freely, and there's a really high chance that you will like fail to kill the tuber in time when it's absorbing. So yeah, the stagger is not something you want to go for. So it's the best to like, if it spawns out and you are doing AoE damage, just try to like kill the half tubers like with Bennett's burst or Xiangling burst. Just like touch it and then it just like dies, because it's like really weak. And on the second half, first wave, we have this Abyss Lecter, the Electro Abyss Lecter. And on the start, it does like its normal attacks, and then after its HP reached 10%, it will be invincible, and then it will spawn out a 36 GU Electro Shield. And the best elements to break it is Dendro, Cryo, and Pyro, which is basically like a lot of the elements. And if you are using Hydro, you need 90 ticks of Electro Charge to like break it. And on the second wave, we have this Millennial Pearl Seahorse. We're just going to call it the Electro Seahorse. For this Millennial Pearl Seahorse, it has a special mechanic, which at the start, it spawns out a pearl on its chest, and the pearl has 19 GU of electro element. The best elements to break it is Pyro, Dendro, and Cryo. And it's technically not a shield, because you can only attack the pearl when you are like facing it in front of the seahorse, which is where the pearl is. If you are attacking the seahorse from behind, it doesn't affect the pearl. So yeah, it's like not a shield, it's like something on his chest. And on normal circumstances, it has 10% all elemental and physical resistance and 60% electro resistance. And at the beginning of the fight, it boosts its resistance up by 200%, which is 210% all elemental and physical resistance and 260 electro resistance. You can see that by the animation that it's like lying on the ground and then it floats up ready for battle. Yeah, that's just the phase. I think it's like around 3 to 4 seconds. And when it has the pearl intact, like not broken, it has its resistance boost up by 80%. So it's 90% all elemental and physical resistance and 140 electro resistance. And one thing we have to know about this pearl breaking mechanic is that when there's only 30% of durability left on the pearl, it will go into like the float in the sky state and then spawn out 3 pearls on the ground, and then you have to break it. But that only applies when it's not doing any attack at the moment. So it's the best to have the pearl to reach almost 30% and wait for its attack. So when it's about to like do its attack, you can start to like brute force your skills, like throw everything, just to hope that you can break the pearl like in time, like before it finish its attack, or else it's gonna fly out and then like waste a lot of time like spawning the pearls, and you have to like run around the chamber and break the pearls. So yeah, that's something you want to avoid. But if you can avoid it and it managed to like float up and then spawn 3 pearls, like the pearls are really easy to break. It's like basically nothing. Even one animal attack or one drill attack could break it. But if you manage to break the pearl in front of its chest in time, and then it will be paralyzed and then return back to its base resistance, which is 10% all elemental physical resistance and 60% electro resistance. And if it's floating up and then you break the 3 pearls, it also goes into its paralyzed state. And on the second chamber, on the top half, we have this secret source automation configuration device. The secret source automation has 60% all elemental and physical resistance, which is like a lot. Below its HB bar, you can see a circular energy bar, which has like night soul effects. The energy bar needs 200 energy to fill up, and in order to add energy to it, you need your characters to be in the night soul state, whether off-field or on-field. But I'm not sure if these stack. If they do stack, then yeah, you can have like your on-field character in the night soul state and then your off-field character on the night soul state, which like effectively boosts the energy charging rate. And for 1 second your character is in the night soul state, it adds 50 energy to the energy bar, which you need like about 13 seconds to have its bar like fill up. And after its bar is filled up, or after 40 seconds has passed, it will go into another mechanic, which it spawns up 2 pillars and then do its charging thing. On each pillar has 2 mechanisms, and the pillars can only be climbed by the characters of the Children of Echoes, which is Kachina and Shilonen, or Mavrika, because she's the Pyro Archon. Or you can just like use other traversing ways, like jumping, like Shell with his burst, or Xian Yun, Kazuha's E, or like Oron hook jumping, or Sitlali hook jumping, or you want to teleport up, like Kajing's E, Ahitam's E, Lanyan's E, or you are going like have constructs to like help you climb up, like Zhongli's pillar. Those are like the viable ways to climb up the pillar. There's also another way for characters to like climb up the pillars. So when you're standing close to this secret source automation, you want to go to the like this ledge, this pillar on the right, and you want to hug the wall and then press W and A and jump at the same time. Yeah, so like it needs a little bit more practice and then you can just break it. Yeah, I do it sometimes, but like not always. So yeah, if you are going like this method, you are not bringing like any characters that could like help you easily traverse up the pillars. Yeah, you need like you might need to learn like the way to climb up here. And that ledge is for like medium female and male characters and for short female characters. And there's a ledge for like tall male and female characters, which is this ledge, which is like much harder because you have to like calculate the distance, which is not a really easy thing. Yeah, so I'm not sure if any of the pillars are easier to do this, but yeah, for tall male characters, like it's like definitely doable. But for tall female characters, there's like really specific tall female characters that can do it, which the only variable that is affecting this success rate is the height. I think like characters higher than Rosaria can do it, which is I think Arlecchino, Mavrika, Shilonen, and Kujo Sara. They can do it, and Rosaria herself can do it. But other than that, characters lower than Rosaria, I don't think they can do it. And either can they do the ledge where the short female characters does it, like not here. These are like for medium female characters and male characters and lolly characters. And after you have break all the mechanism, it will become paralyzed for like 8 seconds. and then you will see the HP bar decrease by 15% of its max HP, which is like a really good thing. And then its resistance will drop by 90%, which is negative 30 for the time it's paralyzed. So yeah, when you break the mechanic, it's like a really good time to like throw everything to this Sacred Source Automaton. And if you did not break the mechanism in time, it will finish its charging attack, and then it will just like throw a really strong electro attack on you, which is like, I think it would be an insta kill for characters that don't really have much HP. So yeah, by breaking the mechanic, you can decrease its resistance, you can let it become paralyzed, and then deduct 15% of its max HP, which is like a really good thing to do. So if you are not bringing like Netland characters for this chamber, for this boss, you might need to wait for 40 seconds for it to enter the mechanic. So what I recommend is that you need to plan that the top half for the second chamber needs like 2 minutes, and you need to clear the bottom half by 1 minute. Because on the bottom half, the first wave we have this Suppression Specialist mech, which has 10% physical and all elemental resistance. There's not really much mechanic to talk about. And then on the second wave, we have this Fluid Avatar of Lava, which has 10% physical and all elemental resistance and 70% pyro resistance, which also, same like the Specialist mech, doesn't have really much mechanic to talk about, except that it infuses itself with pyro. On the third wave, the Electro Wild Manifestation. The Wild Manifestation has a mechanic that at the start of the battle, like when it spawns and after 5 seconds, it spawns an arena. And when it spawns out an arena, it will spawn out a white shield that has 111.4% of its max HP. And when the arena ends and you did not manage to like break the white shield in time, depending on how much the white shield is left, it will convert the percentage left of the white shield into an electro shield, which if you have 30% left of white shield and the arena like ends, you will have like 30% times 24 GU of electro shield that you need to break. And when the arena is active, it constantly absorbs your energy, so all of your team members' energy will be like on 0 constantly, except for Marika, because her burst doesn't rely on energy, it's fighting spirit. But as a compensation, characters inside the arena will do 120% more damage to this wire, and the damage will be further increased by 60% when the character is doing night soul damage. And if you manage to break the white shield in time, it will become paralyzed for like a little while, and all of your energy will be returned back to all of your characters. And on the third chamber top half, we have 2 Hydro Mimic balls, which has 10% physical and all elemental resistance and immune to Hydro, and it's here to stall time. It doesn't have really much mechanic. And on the second wave, we have 2 of these Veteran Tainted Phantasms. One is a melee attack one, which it does like a lot of attack with its ears, and one is a range one, which like shoots jet streams and like water bullets out. They do a lot of damage. It's like the same compared to the Hydro Tuba. They do like a bunch of damage. Although it's like really messy, there's a lot of like effects. But if you are really used to it, like if you practice in the overworld or it's on the first half, you can like practice and like learn their attacks a little bit. It will be like much easier to dodge their attacks, because the actions they are doing before their attack is like really obvious. With a little bit of learning and a little bit of like getting used to the attacks, you can like look at it and then dodge the attacks like really effectively. And on the second half, the first wave, we have 2 Silver Beasts. It has 10% physical and all elemental resistance and 50% hydro and animal resistance. But still to stall time, there's not really much mechanic again. On the second wave, we have this Primordial Basketball Fisher. It has 30% physical and hydro resistance and 10% all elemental resistance. And it has an attack that it charges an energy ball with its mouth and then throw it to the character, and then the energy orb absorbs like 10 energy on your characters. And on the third wave, we have this Consecrated Beast, the Hydro Consecrated Beast, the Crocodile. On normal circumstances, it has 10% all physical and elemental resistance, but at the start of the battle, it enters an enhanced mode, which boosts its resistance up to 40% physical and all elemental resistance and 70% hydro resistance. After some time, it does a really strong attack, and then it will spawn a core on the ground, which can be destroyed by one hydro attack or like 6 other elements of attack. And when you destroy the core, you enter a state for 10 seconds. When the state is active, the active character will have 2% of its max HP lost, and the next attack, whether like skill or normal attack or plunging attacks or charge attack or like any elemental burst, like any form of attack, the attack that hits this consecrated beast will make it paralyzed and then lose 50% of its max HP, like the Secret Source Automaton. And I forgot to say, when it spawned its core, it will return back to its base state, 10% all elemental and physical resistance. And if you did not break the core in time, or you did not attack it after the 10-second state, it will go back into its enhanced mode. So yeah, it's the best to like break its core and then attack it to make it paralyzed, which I did not see a reason why you don't want to do that. So we've talked about the enemies and their mechanics, and now it's time to talk about the teams. And first of all, I want to talk about the Hydro element, like Hydro characters, because as we all know, the top half is like a lot of Hydro immune enemies like the Hydro Tupa and stuff. And on the bottom half, there's this Seahorse and the Electro Abyss Lecter, which Hydro wasn't like really great on breaking Electro Shields. And there's also higher Hydro resistance on the third chamber bottom half. So yeah, if you ask me, I would say that Hydro is kind of like a little bit targeted in this Abyss. But if you really want to play like Hydro characters like me, like one of my strongest team in my account is like Novelet Furina. And of course, the only way you can go is the bottom half. You can't really go to the top half and it's like, I'm gonna beat Hydro immune enemies with Hydro characters, like that's impossible. But if you want to go bottom half, make sure you have your teammates to be able to break the Electro Shield and giving enough supports like elemental damage boost or resistance strat, supports like those on the third chamber, so that the Hydro teams can be played like much comfortable on the bottom half. And the other way is that you can also play Vape on the bottom half, like Child International or Ayato Vape or Ayato Hybrid Bloom. Yeah, those are like okay on the bottom half, but not really okay on the top half, like Milani Vape. If you really want to play Hydro, just let them go to the bottom half. Make sure you can break the Electro Shield. But there's one special case here, which is Nilou, because Nilou doesn't like depend on her Hydro damage. It's Dendro because of her Nilou Bloom cores. So Nilou can technically go top and bottom half, where the bottom half you have Dendro in the team, which makes your Electro Shield breaking like quite easy. And on the top half, just to make sure that your second Hydro slot is a healer, it would be the best to have like healers like Kokomi or Sidrin or Barbara, or maybe if you want you can Mona, but I'm not really sure about that. You still need the Hydro because it's not a fully Hydro immune top half Abyss, because you have the second chamber where you have the Secret Source Automaton that wasn't like Hydro infused. You still need that Hydro application, but not that much and not that high in damage. So yeah, if you want to play Nilou, my recommendation, Nilou and Kokomi. And Kokomi as the healer or Barbara as the healer, you don't need to bring like other Dendro healers like Yao Yao or Baiju in the team. You can bring like other Dendro DPSs or sub DPSs like Nahida and Kale or Alhatem if you want. Yeah. Alright, so for pyro characters on the top half, you basically can play Melt. Yeah, so that's the only downside for Mavrika and Arlecchino too. But it doesn't affect that much damage-wise because they are already like really strong. Pyro characters, top and bottom half won't be a problem because like top half, Reverse Fate, bottom half, there's not really much restrictions except for the Fluid Avatar of Lava, 70% pyro resistance. But other than that, I don't see like much problem for pyro characters on the bottom half. But there's one exception, which is Hu Tao, because the most popular Hu Tao team is Hu Tao, Xingqiu, Yelan, and Zhongli. But with Xingqiu and Yelan in the team, like the top half of the damage is like useless. So if you ask me Hu Tao, I recommend her on the bottom half, or you can just like Hu Tao, Xingqiu, and Zhongli. And on the fourth slot, you can consider like bring other sub DPS or supports like Xiangling, which I really recommend. Electro is like another element that wasn't like really great in this Abyss because of the Electro Shield and the Electro Pearl on the first chamber, and the Electro Wire's 50% Electro resistance on the second chamber. But if you are not going for a continuous run, if you are like going for like the third chamber, then Electro teams can go on the bottom half. Electro hypercarry teams like wasn't like that great. I've tested it, wasn't that great on this Abyss. And if you are considering to play Overload I recommend on the top half, because on the bottom half, only relying like half of the team to break the shield, like it wasn't that effective, especially when in an Overload team where both the Electro part and the Pyro part in the Overload team, both of their damage is like quite important. So yeah, not really recommended on the bottom half. And there's also this Spirit Avatar of Lava. So Overload I recommend on the top half, and Electro can coexist with Hydro, so it's actually like quite easy to proc Overload, even though the enemy is like constantly infusing themselves with Hydro. And another one is Aggravate, like Chlorine Aggravate, Sino Aggravate, Keqing Aggravate, because that Quicken Aura can really coexist with Hydro. So by the end of the day, when you are like playing Aggravate, you are going to do Hyper Bloom instead. Maybe you would steal some Aggravate damage, but I don't think that is like enough. So yeah, if you are planning to play Aggravate, I don't really recommend in this Abyss. But if you really want to try, you can go on the top half, not really a problem. And speaking of Aggravate, we are going to talk about Spread. So for Spread, same thing. If you are planning to play on the top half, the Quicken Aura could not coexist with Hydro. The Quicken Aura at the end would just like act like a Dendro Aura and then create Dendro Blooms, and you are going to do like Hyper Bloom damage instead. But for Dendro, you can play Hyper Bloom on the top half, which it's like okay. And Burning Teams of course on the top half wasn't that great, because Burning Aura would act as a Pyro Aura instead on the top half and couldn't really coexist with Hydro. So Burning Teams top half I would not recommend. But Spread and Aggravate could like do really well on the bottom half, because Dendro damage and Pyro damage, yeah, that's really effective on the Electro Shield and the Electro Pearl, and also Hyper Bloom bottom half won't be a problem because Dendro. And for cryo teams like Pyro, they aren't really affected by the restrictions of this Abyss, as they have literally no resistance in this Abyss, and they are really good on breaking the Electro Shield. The only downside for cryo characters is that the Blizzard Strayer artifact wasn't gonna be that good, because on the top half, all of the enemies are bosses, so they could not be frozen. But I'm not sure about the Hydro Phantasms. Maybe they could. I haven't really tried it yet. I haven't really seen anyone do it. Maybe I've just missed it. But yeah, overall cryo characters are like not really a problem this time. Physical teams, I think that the top half would be the better option, because on the bottom half, I don't think that in physical teams there are characters or supports that are able to like break the Electro Shield really efficiently. And on the second chamber bottom half, there's this Spirit Avatar of Lava, which self-infuse Pyro like most of the time. So yeah, it's not like really possible to proc Superconduct on the second chamber. But if you want to play physical on the bottom half third chamber, then yeah, go for it, because the third chamber doesn't have any restrictions for physical except for the Bishop. It has 30% physical resistance, but if you have enough support, I think that's negligible. But on the top half, Electro could coexist with Hydro, so it's actually possible to proc Superconduct with the Hydro Super, so I don't think that physical will be much of a problem on top half. And Geo, of course, there's this buff for Geo characters for the Geo skill damage increase on the top half, so which buffs Shiori and Navia. And on the bottom half, we have this shield breaking mechanic, which doesn't like favor Jaw and Animal, because most of the time they will take like 2 times of the Geo needed to break the shield. So yeah, if you ask me, I recommend Jaw teams to go on the top half. If you really want to go to the bottom half, just to make sure you have the teammates to break the Electro Shield for you. But otherwise, top half, they go and they have the buff, which I don't see a reason why you don't put them on the top half. And at last, we have Animal. And yeah, I forgot to talk about the Taser reaction. Like, Taser reaction also wasn't that great in this Abyss, because on top, you have Hydro immunity, and on the bottom half, you have Electro Shields and stuff. So yeah, Taser teams won't be like really good, so Mizuki wasn't that great this time. Shell, if your team is like Shell, Faozan and Xianyun, the most typical team, if you have the confidence to clear the Hydro Tupas, the Hydro Phantasms with Furina as the 4th slot, and you don't really rely on her sub DPS, you just need her buff, then yeah, Furina on the top half will be okay, or else you can just bring Bennett. I think Shell's attack could soothe Bennett's Pyro because of the Su priorities. Yeah, I think that's the case. So I would recommend Bennett, but Furina won't be a bad choice either. But for the bottom half, I think Shell would have difficulty on breaking the Electro Shield. So yeah, for Shell, I recommend on the top half instead of the bottom. But if you have the first chamber cleared and you want to play the second and third chamber, yeah, maybe Shell could like do really well on the bottom half. Yeah, no problem. Wanderer, I think the same case, but his one stop freer than Shell because he doesn't need Xianyun in the team. So maybe you can bring like characters to help him to break the Electro Shield on the bottom half. And on the top half, maybe you could play Vade or just hyper carry. Like either you are going to play Wanderer Faruzan or either Bennett Xiangling or Bennett Zhongli. Yeah, that won't be a problem on the top half, I think. And Chaska, you just don't bring the elements that doesn't favor in the half. Like on the top half, you just don't bring Hydro characters in the team. And on the bottom half, same case, just don't bring Electro, like Pyro, Cryo, and Hydro. And speaking about reaction, I've like left one character behind, like one team behind, which is Rider National. Rider National, I do think if you don't really depend on the Hydro DPS in the team, you can consider Rider National on the top half. Whereas if you are bringing like Yelan and your Yelan is acting like a really good sub DPS, and if you are afraid that your Yelan is like not doing any damage, you might not clear it in time, then your Rider National won't be like a really good choice on the top half. But if you are bringing Xingqiu and you are building him as like a support, and yeah, of course you can just play the OG Rider National on the top half. And on the bottom half for Rider National, I do think they could do like well, but not that well. I've tried it, but I don't really have enough time on the top half, which results in like a lot of retries and just giving up like on Rider National bottom half. But I still think that it's a viable way, it's like a possible way. But for my situation, my top half wasn't that fast because my Bavika and Arlecchino wasn't that well built as Raiden. If you ask me, could I still play Rider National in this Abyss? Yeah, top and bottom half, just like depending on how you build her, how well is your build, then yeah, it's okay, I think. So yeah, that's all for this Abyss. If you find this guide really useful, leave a like and subscribe. I'll gladly appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!